Okay, so introduction to HTML. This is our topic, introduction to HTML. And is there anything I can do with that view? No, not really. Very sorry about that for those who came into class. They get in the short end of the stick up here. Is there anything I can do to make this? No. Oh, just move that over a bit. Yeah. All right. So what are we going to cover in this course? This is not the same. All right. So I don't know. I'm sorry. This is introduction to HTML. I think I've opened up the wrong file. So let me go back and close that. Introduction to HTML. I got the wrong one. Teaching materials. What I wanted was course introduction. So right, this is so that we're on this. We'll get to the other one in a second. So course introduction. What we're going to cover is here, which is, as you can see, we're going to be mostly using HTML and CSS. We will have some time for JavaScript.
Sir, I cannot see the PDF.
You can, if you're at home and you have D2L, you can download the PDF.
No, I don't see the PDF on your screen. So
where are you? Oh, you can't see my screen?
We see teaching material, introduction to HTML course, introduction of
yeah,
videos.
just the file
All right,
of
okay, I've got the wrong share.
one teaching material.
Yes,
That's
the
very
folder.
good. Thank you, sir. So, thank you for that. Now can you see it?
Yes, we can.
All right. Maybe you just joined the course, my section. Yeah, so it won't be until tomorrow. It will come. All right, so what we're going to do is, as it says there, we're going to be looking at HTML. So all of this, I hope that you've done some HTML, some CSS, and well, probably no JavaScript. So JavaScript will be new to you, and probably a lot of the CSS might be new to you as well. We will have a 2-hour lecture session. I think this is the 2-hour lecture section now, and then we have a 3-hour lab session afterwards. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 people in the class here with me now. These people are sitting at Mac computers. That's a good thing. This is your classroom during this time. You can come in here and use this equipment. You might look at it and say, well, Mac, why do I need Mac to do web development? Well, you don't. I mean, you could do all of the web development that we're going to do in this course using a Windows computer. And I see one student's got a laptop. That's fine. You can do that. The Mac has a nice big screen. And that we use a different editor, but the editor that we use, you can use the same editor in on your Microsoft Windows platform. So there is a lecture and there's a lab. So the labs will be, you'll be doing a lot of coding yourself, creating sort of website things. So the grading scheme is like that. You see assignments, 15%, quizzes, 20%. Any of the large items of the assessments. So quizzes, midterm, and final in particular. Midterm and final in particular are 20% for each of those individual items. Quizzes, because there's multiple quizzes, then each individual quiz will not add up to 20%. They'll be like the 10%. But we have a threshold. If it's more than 15% of the course, something like that, then you must come into the college and be here in person to do that assessment. So you can expect that we'll have a midterm in a few weeks' time, and you'll need to come into college to do the assessment. Likewise, for the final, you'll have to come into the college to do the assessment. So some additional information. There is a course information sheet that you'll be able to find on D2L. I put it there. And there's a video link. I'm not going to go through the video because that would be a video inside a video. And the link is there. and you can just watch that in your own time, and I recommend that you do that. Have a look at that. Let's go now and look at. So I'm going. I'm going.
Is it the video about review of HTML and CSS or no?
Something like that, yeah. So let's do introduction of CSS, or sorry, introduction of HTML. And I guess I'll have to change the share again because you won't be able to see it, will you? Introduction of HTML. Can you see? Is that what it's saying? Can you see my introduction to HTML?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that's
Yes,
good.
sir.
Well, I have to
Yeah.
do it on the other computer. That might be trickier. I'll have to go to the course content because that's where I put it. And week 1. And nothing there. I didn't upload it. I thought I did. Oh my. Sorry, guys. What's I uploaded, I'm pretty sure. Oh, there it is. Introduction to HTML. Ooh. So here we go. And again, sorry for the people that are here in class. It's going to be smaller for you. People online will have a larger thing. So what we're going to learn in this course, and maybe I can make this a bit bigger. People online, maybe over here a little bigger. I don't know how you guys can see. If you're, it would be better if you actually had online, I guess. I will sort this out for next week for the people that come into class. What I need to do is I see I need to download this. And all right, so what we're talking about here is the structure of HTML. With the structure of HTML, you'll see that everything is between tags. We use tags to separate the structure of the different parts of HTML. And some of those parts we refer to as elements, which are found within individual tags. The question was just given to me, will the classes be on campus? Lab classes. So the lab classes is the next class that we have later on in the week. Yeah, I'll be opening up the lab. This is the lab, but you could do the lab at home, but you'll have to do it before the end of the lab time. That's the way we're going to be doing the assessments. Is we give you the lab and you have to do it before the end of the lab time. So today we're sort of just working into it. Today's not a lab, but next lab, at the start of the lab, I give you the exercise. You'll have to show me your work somehow with people. I think the other classes, they are insisting that the students do come in for the lab. Ask me again later, but I'm going to say, do please come in for the lab. I understand some people won't be able to come in for the lab. So then for those people, I will ask you to, during the lab time, that's when we do the lab. It's not like I give you the lab assessment and then 2 days later you go and do it. That's not the way that is. The marks will be given to you by the end of the lab time. Okay, so whatever you've done. So I will be opening a Dropbox during the lab times for you to put your work in the Dropbox. And really it's just going to be, I'm going to have a look at it and see if it sort of looks okay. All right, so what we've got is we're going to be looking at elements and attributes of HTML. The attributes will be used to define the various elements which are between the tags. We'll talk about a title page or page title. The page title is just something that we put in the head. So we've got different parts of the HTML, the head and the body, and we actually have a couple of slides in this presentation that refer to that. Sectioning and grouping of elements sort of relates to that. Basically, we can use our tags to separate different parts of the web page and in a meaningful way, so that a certain section can be treated in a certain way. Because we have a tag around it, we can then style the tag. We'll put images in, and we'll use some symbols, and we'll use lists. So that's all actually in this lesson. Okay, so the history of the web. The idea there is that the web isn't that old. So I was using computers before the web. Berners-Lee This is around 1989. Yes, 1989, it says in the slide. He sort of came up with this, this concept of using HTML with a browser. So before that, there was the internet. The internet started before the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is more than just the internet. It's the internet plus HTML and browser pages. And so HTML has hyperlinks in it. And so, I mean, in 1989, the first things that were coming up on it was Mosaic, they called it, was our first sort of browser. And then we had Netscape. And those browsers were kind of basic, but basically they did allow for some images and stuff like that. They did use HTML, which kind of looks like the stuff that we use today. Though at the moment we're in sort of version 5.2 of HTML. It's sort of advanced a bit from then, and it's got a lot more sort of features and a bit nicer, I guess you could say. So what is HTML? It's hypertext markup language, and it runs on browsers. You'll find it is driving on the World Wide Web. World Wide Web, we'd say, as opposed to the dark web, there is more than one sort of web out there, I guess you could say. But the one that we normally have access to, that most of the world uses, www, gets us started with it. And of course, we often refer to the protocols that we use to access the web, which is our HTTP or HTTPS, which just is the protocol that allows us to read the hypertext markup language. And so you'll see that when we have a URL, a universal language reference, we will say HTTP or HTTPS, which just means with security. And that just is an indication of how we're supposed to treat the web pages. So what, we got some tools there. Sublime.text. I actually have Sublime.text running on my laptop. So who can see that? The people who are on so anybody who's sitting in this room here using Apples, I don't know how familiar you are with Apple, but with Apple, you've got your applications. You've got a bunch of applications you can use there. You can search for or look for Sublime.text or Sublime Text, and yeah, you won't. It's the people using the people on Zoom can see it, but it's sort of an S like this, but it's orange with a black background. That's Sublime. That's the editor that we have loaded onto our machines. And for the people that are at home, or the people that are using Zoom, I'll just I'm going to do the share of the Sublime.text. So it looks like that. Hopefully that doesn't look too strange. That's an editor, and you don't need to use Sublime.text. If you like, you can use whatever editor you are familiar with and you like to use. So some people use Notepad++, some people use brackets, whatever. Some people use Visual Studio Code. That's fine, perfect. Any of those, if you're working at home on your laptop, use one of those editors, those are fine. Now, all those that I mentioned, Notepad++, brackets, Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code, we have the Visual Studio here, so the code but I know, so I'm not sure, but all the others, they're free. Right? Just download them and use them. Sublime.text also is free. I think Visual Studio Code is free. Now, if you did any courses yet, you can use any of those. So people are saying brackets. Yeah, no problem. So you don't have to use Sublime Text, but you can. All right, now the next slide actually shows that is a window with Sublime Text running. That's what it looks like, and there is a link to show how you could download Sublime Text. Yeah, there it is. So there's a window and the link that you could, if you wanted to install it onto your computer, which might be nice because if you used it, then you'll be familiar with using it there. Now here's the thing, right? So I mentioned you could use different text editors. You could edit it in Notepad++ at home, then bring the same file here and open it in Sublime Text. Okay, so it's not notebook, it's not editor specific. You're writing in HTML, you save the file as an HTML document, and you can open it with whatever editor is around. All right, so you with me? I mean, in a pinch, you could open it with Microsoft Word and save it as a text file with the .html extension. You know, you can use whatever editor you like because it's just flat text. There's no sort of special encoded in the HTML file. It's very, very simple file. Yes, you're asking me a question. Quite possibly. Wherever your exam's going to be. Now, if you're in this room, so have a look around what's on the computer. You know what I mean? So good point. The question was in the exam, what editor are we stuck with an editor? Yeah, in the exam, you'll be using the editor that's on the computer that you've got. All right, so, and you won't be able to bring your laptop in. So don't be thinking, oh yeah, I'll just bring my laptop in. I got lots of little editors on there. I hope you can see why we wouldn't let you bring your laptop in. The element hierarchy, is that the same? No. There's the file structure. Oh yes, I should go back up to that. The first tag that you have in any HTML document is this one that says Doctype HTML. I have actually seen web pages work without that, but we do use that so that it's sort of all of these it's a command to the browser to say how to treat this document. So two things that we do. One, at the start of the document, we put that tag. It doesn't have a partner tag. All right, so it's a tag on its own. If you look at the rest of that page there, you'll see every other tag is coming in a pair. Well, not every other one. That meta tag is by itself. It doesn't have a partner either. But you see the HTML tag opens and closes. The head opens and closes. The body opens and closes. The title opens and closes. The meta tag is without a partner, but also the doc type is without a partner. So everything that's between the HTML tags, that's our actual document. The doc type is just to tell the browser how to treat this. It won't work unless it's saved with an extension of .html. But don't make the mistake of creating your HTML files and saving them as text files, right? They must be saved as, so when you use your editor, so let's say I've got my editor here, I hope, well, I'm sorry for people here in the class because yeah, when I go to save it, do the save as, and when you do the save as, make sure that you choose that type. The type is HTML. All right, or give the name as .html, because if you don't do that, it will not work for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show that share to the people on using Zoom. So can you see I'm doing a save as, and at the bottom there it's save as type HTML, and yeah, it must be as done like that, or it will not work as an HTML page, and it just come up as looking, well, something that's not working. Yes. I have Zoom opened on my laptop. Then I'd have to open. I see what you're saying. Okay, hold on. Maybe I can. Yeah, I think I can. That's a good idea. So bear with me. I have to sign in as Gmail is the problem. The problem is I won't be able to remember my Gmail password. So yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. So if I go to the home and go to the link, and so you guys want to see what's going on there. Download. Yeah. So sorry about that. This is taking a little longer than we planned. See. First time, that's why, right? You guys, it's not installed yet? Okay, there it is. I thought it was auto installing, sorry. Join the meeting. So now I got to let myself in. What a great idea. Why I didn't think of that? Okay. Got it. All right. So you can now see what everybody else is seeing. Is that good? All right. So thank you for that. That's actually great because it makes it easier for me also. Now I know how to do it. Great. Just open up Zoom and the other things so we can all see the same thing at the same time. Awesome. All right. So there we were at, there's the hierarchy I was talking about. Yeah, we finished that idea. Everything between the HTML tags is the HTML, but not everything between the HTML tags is going to be seen by the user of the browser. Only the stuff that's outside the head. The head is just used, it's called Metatags. That's tags that have instructions or data about the web page, but not the web page that's going to be shown. And so you see here, the two head tags, the things that are between those, we say are our meta tags, which are not actually seen in the body of the page. Are we going to study everything from the beginning? I guess so, Susanna. I don't know. Well, I think that you'll find that it gets going fast enough, Susanna. I know. I guess that was a reference to the fact that you already know this. Right. So I guess I could take that as a hint that maybe I should go a bit faster. Yeah, all right. So the metadata in the head, the character set there, you could actually do this without that, but maybe you want to have a website that does Arabic characters or Chinese characters. There are websites like that, right? In which case you would choose a different character set because the character set UTF-8 works for the sort of Roman Latin letters and Arabic numerals. So you might want to use a different website, a different look, in which case you'd have to use a different character set. So there's our character, there's our metas. Oh, my battery's running low. That means hopefully that makes it. I think that's better. I unplugged myself with all my waving things around. Hussam made these notes, and can you see this? I hope this is familiar to you as well. What that is a comment in HTML. Anywhere inside the HTML code except in the CSS. The CSS uses, and the JavaScript. So CSS and JavaScript use different commenting, and so does PHP. I don't think we're doing it in PHP in this course. And so does SQL. All right, so all of those things we do when you're doing websites, right? We use SQL, use PHP, use JavaScript. In this course, I think we're just going to get as far as JavaScript. If any time we want to put a comment that's in the HTML, that's not in the CSS, we're going to use this thing. So a less than chevron, then a greater than an exclamation mark, then a dash to start the comment, and then 2 dashes and a greater than sign will end the comment. Anything that's in there will turn green on your editor, and that means it's not going to be seen on the website. It's just a comment. So we only got 10 minutes left. So here's some other tags. And the things between these tags, all of these tags, I think all of them are tags that come in pairs. So it's going to be a header start and a header end. And so we usually use those at the top to put off a section at the top of the page. And then you could have a footer, which is kind of just like the opposite, a section at the bottom of the page. And then we have other sections, which are just sort of vanilla sections, however we want to do those. Articles, self-contained composition, as it says, everything between the tag is an article. Now, each of these types of tags, we can then mark them up with our CSS. All right, so we can use our CSS cascading style sheets to make them look different. And that's typically what we do in a web page. So this is to represent that, right? So here we have a web page being shown, and you see that we have a header section, we have a footer section, a nav, a standard section with an article in it, and an aside. And so what we can do is we could make these different colors. We could use my phone's talking to me. Sorry. We could use different fonts, different colors, different ways of treating things within there.
Sir, I have a question.
Shoot.
Is it okay if we use the div tags like the nav in different places?
Now you'll note that here it says that use div tag sparingly, and that's because, you know, with the div tag we could end up with many of them sort of how you say, embedded within each other. I use div tags a lot, perhaps more than I should.
So these are not mandatory, right?
So you can use div tags as you need them. The thing about div tags or any tag is you can give them you can differentiate them by giving them an ID, or you can class them. And I don't know if you got that far in any HTML that you did before, but that's a good way of sort of separating them out, is you can say, okay, well, this div here is going to have this ID. And then when you go to style it, you work on the ID. I'm not going to show you ID today because we're going to run out of time in any minute now, actually. So sometime in the next 7 minutes and 24 seconds, this discussion will finish. So we have, I hope you can see this thing here, right? So we have our element, which is in between the tags. So as I mentioned, anything in between the tags is our element. Here's an element which is an A tag element. And so with A tags, we can make hyperlinks. And so href means that this is going to be a hyperlink. So that is the attribute, the href, and with the equal, that's the attribute for the A tag. And then the attribute has a value, which is going to be where the hyperlink is going to take it. Then there's some content. What the content will do is this is what's going to show up on the web page. So the web page is going to have this text, CNAQ website. But when the person clicks on the on that tag, on that CNAQ in the web page, then this will be actioned. The A tag will redirect them to another place, which is actually a hyperlink in that case. Now, I mentioned a second ago the ID. We can use IDs and classes to identify different elements specifically. So in this case, from now on, we can refer to this P tag. This P tags are used for paragraphs. Anything between a P tag is a paragraph. So this is a P tag that's going to just have the word content in it. But when I go to style it, I can just refer to it as hash first paragraph. Hash first paragraph will only refer to P tag. That's useful because I might have in my web page, I might have 20, 30 P tags. So how do I work with one P tag and not another? Well, I can give each one a different name using an ID. And then I can just, with only the first, I can make the first paragraph look different than the second, third, fourth, fifth paragraph, etc. So there we have our meta tag, which, as it says, there's really nothing in it. The BR tag, all that is a new line tag, because even though you're in your editor and you're hitting new lines, and it looks like you're moving to a new line, HTML, when it's rendered onto the browser, doesn't recognize your white space new lines. So if you want a new line, you have to specifically mention it. Thank you, Mohammed, for the definition of a BR tag. Now, images tags, again, this is a single tag, the IMG tag, but do notice that it's got a SRC referring to the source. This is saying where the image is. So in this case, it's a JPEG. It could also be a PNG or a GIF. The thing is, with the SRC, you're normally going to be a little bit more specific than this. With this SRC, what that means is that that image is in the same folder as the HTML page, which is in which this IMG tag is found. That's not always the case. What we usually do is we organize our website. Half of doing your web page is organizing your files, where your files are going to be so that they can be used. And normally we don't just throw them all together in the same folder. So the SRC will usually have some kind of a extended file name, which will include what folders that file is in. And yeah, I don't know if we're, yeah, the absolute path refers to that. This is a mistake that I saw a lot with first-year students doing building web pages, is they would be working away on their web on doing their web development on their laptop. They would get a link for some page or image or whatever, which is sitting on their laptop, and they would just paste that into the to whatever tag they're, to a hyperlink tag or an IMG tag, and that would give you what we call an absolute path. That's fine on their computer, but as soon as you take that website and try and use it on somebody else, on anywhere else, it won't work, because wherever else people are trying to access that website doesn't have access to that C drive, right? So what we use is we use relative addresses. And so basically, this is why it's so important to organize your website. We organize our website so that we have a root directory, we have other directories, and we know where all the files are. If we know where all the files are, we can easily point to them using any of the tags, using, for example, our hyperlink file tags or our image tags or whatever. We can easily point to it without making mistakes. Now that is important, because you need to remember that you're going to host, the way a website works is it's hosted on a web server. Usually we develop it on a computer and then we upload it to a server. We don't normally run it off the laptop that you're using in your basement to create the website, right? Because that's not normally a server. It might be, but normally what we're going to do is we'll create it on some device and then we'll upload it to the server. So the server environment, the file structure there, is going to be totally independent of the development environment. And so that's why you need to just take a very well constructed file system that is just for that website, with all the files in relevant folders, and then that is uploaded to the server. And then by using relative addresses, we can get to any of the files within that. So typically we'll have a root folder. Within that root folder, we'll have images folder. And then we can just say that whenever we want to access an image, we're going to access the image by first mentioning that it's in the images folder. I think we're getting to the end of this, thank goodness, because we've got 38 seconds left. The lists thing, there's two different kinds of lists. There's ordered lists and there's unordered lists. The ordered list, you can guess, is the one that starts with the O. And notice that each element in each part of the, yeah, and they are elements of the list, is between LI tags. The unordered list is UL. The unordered list is going to give you dots, or you can change those symbols. And the ordered list is going to give you numbers or Roman numerals or something like that. And there's the thing about our hypertext link. And I think that's going to run out of time. And so it says that I've still got 39 seconds left. Yeah, all right. Bunch of special characters. What we can do with special characters is we use this ampersand sign and then a number, and then there's a special code that references those, right? And so I guess you can get a key to see what that code is. And in fact, you can find that on W3 Schools has a